With filming underway in late 1975, star Sylvester Stallone and director John Avildsen knew that one thing would make or break this boxing movie: the fight scenes. But there was a problem. Neither Stallone nor Weathers knew how to box.
And I asked Carl, after he met with Sylvester and Irwin and everybody, I said, do you have any boxing?
Of course I had.
Oh, yeah, I got all kinds of...
I was an actor. You always lie and say yes, you know? If you ever jumped out of an F-14, yes, of course I have.
And I said, well, look, just show up tomorrow morning, and I'm going to let you move around with one of my kids at Santa Monica.
Jimmy took me to this little gym, and he wore me out in about a minute.
After the first round, he was exhausted.
I mean, I literally could hardly pick my arms up after 3 minutes.
He couldn't even throw a punch.
You burn so much energy when you don't know what you're doing. But at the end of it, they said, yeah, I think this guy can do it. Lo and behold, we managed to pull it off.
And Carl, being such a great athlete, really helped. And he really learned, you know?
Getting in the ring every day and just trying to learn to box. I mean, really box, you know? I remember Sylvester and I both just really spending a lot of time at it, actually having a lot of fun, but being drenched through the process, you know, because it was work. It was really, really, really hard work.
Added to that work, director John Avildsen had decided they needed the boxing to have a brand new look.
Once I got the job, I thought I should look at some boxing movies, and I did. And I was appalled at how crummy the boxing looked.
They knew they had to do something different. Bringing in a veteran boxing coach to help stage the fights seemed like the place to begin.
I was working with an old-time boxing coach, and I realized I've seen this fight before in, like, The Champion and The Harder They Fall and John Garfield, and it's this 1-2 slap, 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 slap. Two guys are going down, and two are going up, and two are going down. I said, come on. And I'm watching, I said, look at this footage here of Rocky Marciano fighting Joe Louis. Why can't we do that here? He said, oh, you don't understand.
He was a boxing guy, but he was also a fencer. He used to teach fencing in movies and stuff like that.
And I said, okay, let's just try it. I'd like to have Carl Weathers come out of the corner and throw 4 right hands right away. And the man became outraged. The stunt coordinator, he goes, won't happen. I go, why? Because it's just, people don't throw 4 right hands. I said, I know he does because he's Apollo Creed. That's what makes him different from you and me. He goes, I refuse, and he quits. He quits. I went, oh. So now they're looking at me like I'm really arrogant. Like, what do you know? And you just had the best guy. His name was Paul, I want to say.
Paul Stater and George Wilbur, they were authorities in boxing as far as the film industry is concerned, but not as far as I was concerned.
And he quit. And he had done every big boxing film there was. Oh, boy, this is not happening at all.
He was like a traditional type of stunt guy, and that's why that didn't work.
So I thought, why don't we write it down? You learn dialogue, why can't you learn physical dialogue? Why can't you learn body language?
And I said, Sylvester, why don't you go home and write this thing out? Lefts, rights, this guy gets down, the other guy gets up, whatever you want, write it out. And we'll learn that like a ballet.
We choreographed the entire fight. You had to really work this thing out because you're now not only learning to do this and do this well, but you're doing it for camera, and you're doing it to look right.
The movie maker is interested in keeping the audience's attention, and the audience doesn't want to see someone circling the ring for 3 minutes. They want to see some action. They want to see punching.
For cameraman Garrett Brown and others on the production team, shooting the fight was as demanding as training to fight.
I was encouraged to be in the ring. I would be circling, they'd be circling. They don't typically do this in the center of the ring. They do crisscrosses and approach the ropes. Some of the time I'd be dancing out of the way. There are some stills of me in the background, and I have a look on my face like this. I'm looking like this, like I'm watching people getting hurt, like a spectator of an actual fight.
When you're shooting a fight film, it's harder than fighting a fight because you're doing it for 12 to 14 hours. And you have to have the same energy from the first round to the last take of the day.
They kept up the pace and wrapped in 28 days.
No, it's good. It was just that quick. And it was wrapped, and we edited the film.
The next hurdle would be getting the picture into theaters.
UA did not want to release the film that year because UA had Network and it had Bound for Glory.
The president of MGM at the time sent me a letter after he saw the film, and he said, I want to remind you that we still have the right to sell the film directly to television and not give it a theatrical release.
When Rocky was released in November of 1976, it was still a long shot. How would a mass audience take to a movie about a boxer who doesn't even win?
I thought it was going to end up in the bottom half of a double bill in a drive-in in Alabama or something.
We didn't open the movie to a lot of theaters. I remember, Philadelphia and a few other places.
I got a copy of the New York Times, which had this terrible, terrible review.
First review that came out was Vincent Canby, a bomb. Thumbs down. He hated the movie.
I was standing in front of the theater where it was playing and reading this review, and it was really devastating. And out of the theater comes Peter Falk, and he said, "Hey, congratulations. The picture's just great." And I said, "Peter, look at this terrible review in the New York Times." And he said, "Irwin, don't look at the review. Just go inside and see."
They were cheering and jumping up and down. I said, wow, I've never.
It was amazing.
It was bigger than all of us, what happened as an event.
I don't think anybody could envision that. I certainly couldn't have,
When's the last time you saw a movie where people are standing up cheering, where grown men are crying?
That's when I realized we had made it. This is, I think I'm on my way.
It wasn't until I saw the lines around the block in New York on 3rd Avenue when it was playing at Cinema 2 that it began to sink in that this thing might be a hit.
We started with 3 theaters, and then we wound up with every theater in the world.
The impact was almost immediate.
We did good business, and it just grew and grew and grew.
There was one moment I remember walking down the street in New York. You just walk down like anybody else. The next morning, after the movie comes out, hot dog vendors are going, "Yo, Apollo." Honestly, it was a little scary in the very beginning because it wasn't just, "Oh, hi." It was like they were all over you. It wouldn't be just one person. It would be person after person after person. It was kind of crazy.
And then we started getting great critical response. We won the Golden Globe. We got the LA Film Critics Co-Best Picture Award that year with Network.
Then, in January of 1977, the Oscar nominations came out.
We got 10 nominations. It's a lot. We never imagined something like that would be the case.
10 Academy Award nominations for a $900,000 movie that was really made for drive-ins?
But Rocky faced stiff competition, including 2 other United Artists films.
Those are the horses that they were betting on, was Network and Bound for Glory. We didn't come out until December, and they didn't assume that we'd have a shot at it.
On Oscar night, the filmmakers felt like gatecrashers at the party.
First of all, we were scared out of our minds. Of course, that's what happens when you know that there are going to be a couple of billion people watching this show.
Nobody at that time could tell that this movie was going to win the Oscar.
But that evening, Rocky won 3 Oscars and became the first sports film ever to win Best Picture.
And I wouldn't be surprised that it might have been the lowest budget movie to win Best Picture.
Rocky's performance at the box office was just as impressive, ultimately grossing over $117 million in the U.S.
You can tell from what the movie cost and what it grossed. It was absolutely amazing.
All of a sudden, your wife is working as a secretary and you're looking for work. And almost the next day, by 77, I'm conducting the Academy Award Orchestra and I have film offers.
Naturally, talk of a sequel began almost at once.
The day we finished, I went to Gucci's. I bought a gold-plated pen, not a gold pen, but a gold-plated pen. I bought a leather-bound notebook, and I wrote on the first page, "Now write the sequel."
I think we were all surprised over the success of the movie, and one of the producers said, when I said, "Well, we're going to do another one?" He said, "We will do them until they stop coming."
But in addition to acting and writing, Sylvester Stallone wanted to direct the sequel as well. It would be his next $1 million to 1 shot.
That's a sleepless job because you're writing, you're directing, and you're acting and starring in it. That's a pretty big load.